Hey now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey now, 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 hey now. Hour number 4 of the Line Talk 99.5 on a Monday where Andrew almost passed out, but I think I'm okay now.
I'm glad to hear that, brother.
Took John Bird's advice. Never did I think I'd be at a point in my life where I take John Bird's medical advice, and it actually worked out for me.
My mama wanted me to be a doctor, but I couldn't stand the sight of blood.
Well, you did turn into a doctor. Dr. Dingaling.
If you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean. Anyway, Earnest Financial's bringing you this part of the show, so let me tell you about them real quick. RetireWithEarnest.com. Your retirement, if you got over $50K in your retirement, call David Earnest. Let him know I sent you. He's going to take care of you. He's good people and been a friend of mine and really the longest supporter of this show. I mean, I think we may have been like a month in when Earnest Financial jumped on board, and he has just been great. He supports what we do, and with some of the crazy stuff we do sometimes, it's not easy to support us always. Like, sometimes you tune in and you probably think, man, nobody's going to touch that show with a 10-foot pole. But David Earnest, he's a believer, man, and I'm a believer in him. And I want your retirement protected, and I want it to grow. I want you to be in the best position possible when retirement rolls around. So here's what you need to do. You need to reach out to him. Remember, if you got over 50K, that's all I'm really worried about. 833-596-7233 is the number. That's 833-596-7233. And online, retirewithernest.com. The president's still taking questions, so let's hop back to that for a moment.
Are the talks with Iran now off and are airstrikes
No,
back
they're
on?
on. They're going on right now. It's an amazing thing. We have a little problem with Iran because we have many talks and we'll say we have or we don't have. You know, we're straight about it. But they deny, but they're not denying it now. They just put out a statement not denying it. But for some reason, they, when they're talking, they don't like saying that they're talking. So I say, wait, we're in talks. Big deal. We're in talks. And they'll sometimes deny it, even though they spend hours and hours together talking. No, the talks are going along. We're going to hit them very hard yesterday, very, very hard, harder than any attack. I think I can say, General, from a point of knowledge, any attack since World War II. That's pretty big. And we were set to go, and they called. And in addition, Saudi Arabia called, and UAE called, Qatar called. Got calls from numerous people. Not, I don't want to use the word begging, but some were, in particular, Iran did not want to be hit. And they said, we want to talk. We want to talk about the Strait, but more importantly, from my standpoint, we want to talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because it's what it's all about. This is why I'm doing this. And it should have been done. It's now 50 years. We keep saying 47 years, but 3 years have gone by. But it's for 50 years that other presidents should have been doing or other countries. Didn't have to be us, but other countries. And nobody did it. And it was time, and we hit them hard with the B-2s more than a year ago now. And that knocked out their capability, their potential capability. We've done a great job. But when we talk, we say we're talking. If we're not talking, when you ask me, no, we're not talking, I'll say it. But we are talking right now. We're talking, and we're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called. The leaders of many, I'm friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani is requiring an ID to access his government-run grocery stores. What then is your message to Democrats who do not want to pass the Save America Act and ensure, ID at the ballot box?
When was this announced? This was just announced. Yeah. I heard about it. Yeah. Well, I wish they'd have an ID to access the voting booth. You know, They don't want to access the voting booth with any identification. We want voter ID, and we want proof of citizenship. Well, he also had a thing where you had to have 2 different IDs to shovel snow during the winter, right? So that's a very friendly question. I like her. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Very good. All right. Good question. Very good. A good group, too.
Almost 20 GOP senators who have pledged to stay in D.C. to pass the Save America Act. So what's your message to the rest of the senators who are still on their summer recess?
I think there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I think they should stay. They do what they want, but I think they should stay.
Mr. President,
I think it's so important to get it passed. Yeah.
Mr. President, where are the Iran talks, and what are your
Well,
requirements
you'll find
right
out
now?
today or tomorrow. I mean, they're going to go quickly, one way or the other. It's not very complex. We're talking about the strait, the opening of the strait, having it open literally by tomorrow, completely open. And that's phase 1. And phase 2 is we then will talk about the nuclear capacity, the nuclear, as we've been mentioned. Basically, it's, I think, the denuclearization of Iran has to happen. And that'll be the second phase. But the first phase is the opening of the straits. The second phase will be the denuclearization, and that'll take a little while. But we're very strong on it. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and I have never changed in that. Yeah, please, in the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that if Democrats get back into power, what is happening in Spain awaits America. What should voters in other countries with elections coming up soon take away from what's going on in
You have to
Spain?
be very careful with the whole socialist thing. I think in many cases it's much more than socialist. They skipped socialism, they went directly to communism. But when I saw what happened in Spain, I said, we had a version of that. You could say much worse. We allowed 25 million people under Joe Biden, the Democrats. We had open borders, and countries all over the world, almost all of them, sent people that they don't want into our country. And we've gotten a lot of them out, and we're getting more, including murders. And I always said 11,888. That was the number of murders. Many of them committed more than one murder. And we're going to be just like that if you put these lunatics in that I see running for office. We had an open border a year and a half ago. We had the worst border in the history of our country. Now we have the best border. We haven't had one person come in, and this is done by the Democrats, not by left-leaning people. They do charts. And they have, in 15 months, not one person has come in through our southern border illegally. Now, that's pretty amazing. I'd say maybe 10, maybe 15. They say none. And believe me, if they did, they'd love to report it. But you could go outside in those vast plazas where hundreds of thousands of people gathered when they stormed our country, just like they did, in my opinion, worse, just like they did to Spain. They stormed our country. And those borders are, those big plazas that were built, they put concrete down. And now you look at them, there's grass growing in the cracks. Nobody comes up because they know they're not going to get through. And if they do get through, they're going to be taken out, brought back to their country. So we've done a fantastic job. Somebody said you did it too fast. I did it in 30 days, my first 30 days. Biden couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done. He tried at the end. He tried to do something because it was so overwhelming. It was so bad politically. But we did it in 30 days. Somebody said you should have taken a year and a half or 2 years completed because everyone forgets. Even my speechwriters, they say, sir, nobody wants to hear about the border anymore. You've done it. It's an incredible job you've done, but nobody wants to hear about it. And I should have taken a couple of years to do it because, and it actually was, the public has about a 2-year, people do, they have a 2-year memory for certain things. They have a 2-week memory. I may have gotten elected, certainly partially on the border, and because we did such a great job, it was a long time ago. I did it twice. I did it in 2016 when it was bad, but I did it this last time when it was really bad. It was, Steve, I would say many, many times worse than it was in 2016. 2016 was bad, but what we just had a year and a half ago, that was the worst border maybe in world history. There's not a third world country that would have allowed that to happen, where people coming in from prisons and people coming in from mental institutions and people forced in by government, because these are the people that those governments, those countries, I know them all, they didn't want. And they walked into a country totally unvetted, totally unchecked. Not anymore. Nobody comes in. Except if they come in legally. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday you
Who
were...
are you with, Liz?
I'm with the Washington Examiner, sir.
Good. They're doing good. They've been very nice to me.
You were asked yesterday whether Representative Max Miller should resign from Congress of the allegations, and you said that you'd have a look at it.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that? And also, do you think...
Well, it's a very sad thing. I know Max. He's a good person. I mean, I always thought he was a very good person. And I'm going to let the families figure that out. You know, those families, I know they're working on it. It's a very sad thing, especially when you know somebody so well, to be going through that. But it's accusations, and I'm going to let them figure that out. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, did you sign off on Todd Blanche rescinding the anti-weaponization fund? And also, there are Democrats right now who say there's essentially two tax codes. There's the Trump family tax code and a normal people tax code. Why do you think that your family deserves some level of special exemption when it comes to the auditing of taxes?
Well, I'll go into that. First of all, I had a 10-year case that was settled until I announced I was running for office. It was a settled deal like I've been doing all my life. I've been audited every year for my entire life, which I have a lot of wealthy friends who were never audited. To this day, they were never audited. I was audited. And my deal was settled. In writing, it was settled, subject to final approval. Then I announced I was running for president, and all they did was haunt me with it. They ended the settlement, and they went after me illegally. And they did a lot of bad things to me like they did to other people. And I was treated very unfairly by the IRS. It was weaponized against me. Think of it. I had a case this is a 10-year-old case. And it was settled, it was done. The case was over. I announced I'm running for president, and they terminated the settlement in Washington, and they went after me. And what they did here was frankly, if you talk about reparations or if you talk about payment, what they did to me, I had a very good case against them. So this was a case that was settled, that when I decided to run for president, right at the beginning, this is a long time, it's been going on for a long time, they terminated the settlement, which is something that never happened before. We have letters from the biggest law firms in Washington saying that this case is nonsense, just like the Russia was nonsense. They weaponized government. And so that's that, and most people understand that. On the fund, these were people that were treated unbelievable. 22 suicides, more than that, I think. Look at Ashley. Look at so many other things that happened. These people were treated horribly, and this fund could have given them some solace. But it happens to be very popular among many quarters, and I don't participate in that fund. I was certainly treated badly. I don't participate, but I thought it would be very fair for people that spent years in prison, people that were treated so badly, for in many cases people that did absolutely nothing wrong. So I view that fund as a positive, and a lot of Republicans do too, not so many Democrats. And it's not only for that, it's for other things too. People that have been treated unfairly, that have been weaponized by a corrupt government that we had with Obama and that we had with Biden. You had a corrupt government with both of them.
Mr. President, did you sign off on Todd Blanche rescinding?
I didn't look at it. All I know is that Todd Blanche is great. He's going to do a great job. Everybody knows it. And I understand there's been a sign-off. But I don't know what they agreed. I think Todd Blanche agreed to reconfirm things that he's already said, and what he said was okay.
Can I
Please go ahead.
Are there other avenues you have supporters get paid potentially if it's not the anti-weaponization fund? Is there another?
Who are you with?
I'm with MS Now, sir.
You who?
MS Now.
MS Now?
Yes, sir.
What a terrible show that is. They have the worst people on that show.
Are there other avenues that you want to see people?
No, there's no other avenues that I know about. Go ahead.
All right, let me hop in here real quick. We're going to hit another break. I'm going to do that, come back on the other side. This is still going, by the way. Think there's some good info because Donald Trump, at the beginning, you heard the first question about Iran. He said, we were set to launch the biggest attack that anybody's ever seen since World War II. I mean, I don't even know how to describe what that would look like, but they were getting ready for pedal to the metal bombardment of Iran. Iran called, Saudi Arabia called, UAE called, and he said they were basically begging, hey, please let us talk and let us figure something out here. So he said, you know what? This will be your last chance to get something figured out, and you better do it quickly. Otherwise, it's back on. We've already showed you that we will go back to bombing, and we will do this latest launch if need be. Also, a lot of other stuff out there with the executive order. That's got to do with creating a direct line between military families and the White House for military families to be able to make the White House aware of what their needs are. That is something that did not exist in the past that the Trump administration has now put together. That's going to be big for military families, people with husbands or wives that are active duty. And, you know, for a guy that we're told hates the military and calls them suckers and losers, he sure does a lot to benefit the military. It's weird how that works out. Real quick, let me tell you about Alabama Men's Clinic, alabamamensclinic.com. I'll be at Alabama Men's Clinic soon for my very first follow-up. As you know, I've been doing the testosterone treatments, or one of them I have been, and we're going to see where I'm at after starting that, and if we need to make some adjustments, maybe bump it up, go a little higher, and start really getting after it, we may do it, man. But I'm telling you, I have been able to tell a big difference in a very short amount of time when it comes to just my overall mood and how I can operate in the mornings and everything else. Alabama Men's Clinic can get you back on track. This ain't just about ED, although if ED is a problem for you, they got the solutions for it. This is about overall quality of life. So reach out to them. Make sure you tell them I sent you. 205-598-7000. That's 205-598-7000 online, alabamamensclinic.com. This is fascinating. So I may keep rolling with it. Trump saying he was asked about gas prices and the gas companies themselves, and he said, for example, Chevron and Exxon. He says, I am not happy with them. He said they have made way too much money. He said when I look at them and I see what they make one year, and then the following year they make 12 times what they made the year before. He said that's a problem. He said, and I'm a big free enterprise guy. I'm probably the last guy that would ever chastise oil companies for making too much money, but these guys are making too much money. He said, and I'm demanding these retail prices come down. He says they're going to plummet once this Iran deal's over. He's like, but I'm addressing this head on with these CEOs of these companies. They're making far too much money, which tells you what? That it ain't necessarily the shortage or the oil supply, because oil's still getting everywhere, as you see. It's just the price has skyrocketed, and that brings in the moolah. Now, traditionally, you would see politicians making decisions such as this because they're in cahoots with said oil companies and getting kickbacks or funding campaigns or whatever. So they never go out there and attack the oil companies themselves if they're making bukus of money. But Trump's doing the exact opposite. I love that, by the way. I love it. I'm also free market like Trump says. But if there's a scam going on here and these oil companies are getting one over on the public, he said they ought to take that money and give it back to the public. I'm like, dang, bro, I like that. I like that. So he's obviously not going to force him to do that because he's not a socialist communist, but he's addressing it. Love that. Real quick, and we'll go back to this when we get back on the other side. If we got to put the wheel segments off to tomorrow, we'll do that. Noto Roofing for you one more time. NOTO roofing.com, NOTOroofing.com. Your roofing guys. You know all about it. Free roof inspection, free roof tune-up. What else could you ask for out of a roofing company besides that? Not only that, but if they do work for you, such as replace your roof, patch up your roof, the side, the fascia, the whatever the scientific terms are, they can fix it. They got you covered, man. They've done work at my house. I know the work they do. Absolutely amazing. Help you file the insurance claim and everything else, man. They're on top of it. 205-848-2299. It's 205-848-2299. Online, notoroofing.com. Can we even say that word?
We won't say it on here.
I mean, we say some crazy stuff. Maybe it's a different spelling than the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah. We probably misunderstood it.
Probably it's got 2 T's at the end.
Yes.
It's somebody's name. It's like some foreign name. Anyway, I want to get back to Trump because, again, he's putting out a lot of good stuff. And I usually don't take it this long, especially towards the end of the show. But, we do Will segments every day. I can push that off to tomorrow. That's no big deal. So let's roll with it. First, let me tell you about Mandu, mandu.com, MANDUU.com. Big opportunity for those of you that are educators, students, and faculty, anybody associated with schools. Now that it's time for back to school, there's a perfect opportunity for you to start getting in shape. If you're a college kid, you probably don't have a lot of free time. Maybe you do, but you'd still like not to have to spend, hours on end in the gym. 15 minutes at Mandu with a personal trainer. Can't beat it, man. Those of you that are teachers, you definitely don't have extra time. You go to school, you do your stuff, then you got to go pick up the kids, you got to get dinner ready, and you just don't have time to take care of yourself. How nice would it be to be able to just carve out 15 minutes after school, get in there and get your workout in? Here's the best part. If you are any of those people, we're giving you 15% off. If you sign up from now through September, we will give you 15% off for as long as you're doing Mandu. As long as you keep doing Mandu, you'll continue to get that 15% off. If you are a teacher, a student, faculty member, if you're associated with schools, bring some sort of identification, show them, they'll give you that 15%. That's big savings, man, especially if you're doing it long term. So Mandu, yeah, I've told you my Mandu story. I still go to this day. I've done Jumbird, I think I'm at 400 sessions.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I love some Mandu. It has changed the game for me. So here's the website. Remember, 3 locations, Homewood, Huntsville, Tuscaloosa. Website, mandu.com. You get a free session. Everybody gets a free session to try it out. MANDUU.com. Get your free session and hook that up. Back to the president live in the Oval Office.
This is what we're going to put in it. Not going to happen in our country. Go ahead, please. Yeah, in the back.
When someone, me, sir,
Go ahead.
when a group.
Well, let him go, then you'll.
I'm sorry.
He was very rude to you, right? Go ahead. Who are you with?
I'm with Real America's Voice, sir. Sir, when a group such as the Haitians lose their temporary protective status, how soon should they be bussed and flown out?
Well, we had a big victory in court on temporary, the protected status. And I largely leave it up to my people. But we've had people here for many years and they were here temporarily. We had people coming in and they've been here for many, many years. And they had a tragedy in their country. They had, sometimes it was storms, or it was, it was hurricanes. And they come in and, they're here for 12 years, 14 years. So something's got to be done. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, on the line, have you spoken to Jeanine Pirro about her decision to drop?
No, Jeanine Pirro made a mistake. There was vandalism. I just told you we did, I think, 78. One of the things was the reflecting pool. Hasn't worked since 1922 because it always leaked. It always leaked from 1922. It's the largest, longest pool ever, and all that. The concept is beautiful, but it always leaked because of the size, because of maintenance, whatever. But it was built in 1922, and from the day it was built, it leaked. Biden spent $58 million. Barack Hussein Obama spent much more than that. He said, I have an idea. Let's take the water from the Potomac. So they took the water from the Potomac, and it was putrid. It was putrid. It was a disaster. Biden was a disaster. I said, I'm going to get that fixed, along with Doug Burgum and Department of Interior. And we worked hard on that. Now, we worked hard on all 70. It's actually, I think, 81 now. You saw the new horses that just opened by the bridge with the gold. That was the way they were many years ago. Now they look better than they did many years ago. But these monuments look better than they did when they were originally built. not just a little fix-up. We made them the way they were plus, and everyone's so proud. The biggest, one of the bigger jobs was, not really the biggest, believe it or not, but one of the biggest was the reflecting pool. And we did a great job. We sandblasted the stone outside. It was granite, so it has a long life. We did a great job. We got very expensive material to put on top of the surface that always leaked because it was stone. It was a stone surface. Always leaked. And we put it on, and it was beautiful. Now, we have photographs or tapes, like moving cameras, right? We have them where people are on the side cutting it with a box knife. So now I'm not saying I was 100% thrilled with the contractor, but the contractor was rushing. We wanted to get it open for July 4th, and we got it done. But in addition, there was vandalism. Number one, look at the grass, where the grass was all knocked out with a very, very powerful ingredient that we know very well what it is. I'm not going to say the name because people get ideas. And they put a terrible phrase, I won't say that either, but a terrible phrase on a massive piece of grass that we had just replaced. Kill the grass. We had to replace the grass. A lot of grass. In addition, they took knives or cutters and they cut the material. It's material. And they put their hands and they pulled it. And there was also some maintenance things that we would have routinely fixed. But we had that up and it was perfect. And then you had the bubblers, which get rid of the, what forms in the water. And that works great, but they turned it off because of the fight. Because it competed a little bit of noise during the fight. They turned it off, and it grows very rapidly in the water, but that actually works very well, and that's all. So now we're just about set to reopen it, and we had to replace cut areas where they cut it and ripped it. But there's a tape, and Jesse Waters, by the way, did a whole big thing on it. There's a tape that's out there that I posted on Truth, where you have people leaning over the side, the weakest part because of the flexibility. It moves. It's very complicated. It moves. And the softest part has to be flexible. And that's the stuff you can cut. And these guys knew what they were doing. And they cut all the way along the base. Cut, cut, cut. Now, when Janine looked at it, it was the day after the 4th of July with the largest fireworks display in the world. And the stuff was laying all over the pool, the fireworks, because they used the pool as one of the, and it was all over the pool. It was the day after, very shortly thereafter. But that was working beautifully, and it was vandalized. And if you look at the tape, now the tape isn't a great tape in the sense that it's a little hard to say who it exactly was, but it was people cutting this very expensive material, waterproofing material. Anyway, it looked beautiful. And then they cut it, and they vandalized. And we weren't necessarily thrilled with the contractor, but they did a job, and they were fixing any problems. But then it got carried away because the judge was extremely unfriendly to Janine. And frankly, I think she choked because the judge was really vicious. Instead of going after the people that did it, the judge went after her and went after her department. And I guess she choked. I don't know what the hell happened.
Are you reconsidering her role?
I don't know what. You don't. You're fake news. Don't ever talk again. You're fake news. One of the worst in the business. Fortunately, nobody watches you. But something happened. There was vandalism there, and there was some things from the contractor which we would fix. But it's almost complete. And when it opens, it's incredible. It's really incredible. But remember this, it leaked from 1922. It opened in 1922. They never solved the leak problem because it was stone. And the cracks with the stone, stone is really not a waterproofing material. We essentially use a very high grade swimming pool type material, which was my idea. I was very proud of that idea. And by the way, I didn't know the contractor. Everyone said the contractor. I didn't know the contractor. But when it was completed, it was perfect. but then somebody went in and cut it, just like they did the grass. You know, nobody talks about the grass. The grass have helicopter pictures of what they did. Wasn't it 87? Right? Do you know what they did, right? Did you see what they did? Did you see what they wrote? What did they write?
87, or sorry, 8647.
That's right, 8647. They 86 them, so it's 86, 47. They didn't do 45. At least they left 45 out. But they, and massive letters on the grass, 8647, and nobody talked about that. That was vandalism too. We had to replace all that grass. It was a tremendous amount of grass, because when you hit it with this poison, it's acid. It kills the grass no matter how, you can't even clean it, even if you got there right after. It's very powerful stuff. I know it well. So, people did great damage to this thing because they're sick people. You know who's representing the man is a man from Crew, a sleazebag who's been suing me for my whole political, hasn't won, he's lost all the time. But Crew, do you know what Crew is? It's a third-rate operation that's supposed to be a charity, but it's not. They used it for political reasons. So we should be proud of our monuments, and we should be proud of our city. And you know, that was open before they did the damage. It was open. It never looked more beautiful. It looked like a mirror, and that's what it was supposed to be. It was a very dark color, because otherwise you don't see it, as a reflecting pool, and it looked beautiful. Well, it'll look just as beautiful. It'll be fixed and open over the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Mr. President. Were you rooting for Michigan?
One more, yeah.
Who are you rooting for in Michigan?
Well, you have a very interesting group. Who I really voted for is Mike Rogers, because I think he's going to be a great senator. But you have a communist versus a socialist. That's the way I look at it. You have a communist versus a socialist. It looks like the communist is leading. We're talking about for the Democrat primary. But for the Republican, you have a very good man, and he should be able to win. Yeah. Okay, one more. Go on, in the back. Yeah, go ahead.
Lafayette Park.
Lafayette Park, it's great. Do we do a good job in Lafayette Park? So Lafayette Park is right across on the other side of the street, and I made a donation of $10 million. That was me, personally. And it's unbelievable. It was so dirty and so disgusting. Like everything liberal becomes dirty and disgusting. Socialism, liberalism, progressivism. You know, the word progressive is such a nice word. They love using it. But the radical left isn't letting them use that word anymore. But Lafayette Park is a large park. It was known as the gateway to the White House. And it was disgusting. The monument is beautiful, graffiti all over it. I won't say what was on the sidewalk, but horrible, 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 disgusting stuff. And not only did we fix it, we have military standing there watching it. And if anybody touches it, that was the one mistake with the reflecting pond. They hadn't put up the cameras yet. They had enough up because you see what's happening. But if they would have had them up, we would have had it would have been a lot easier. And I was disappointed with Jeanine Pirro, really disappointed with Jeanine Pirro. She folded like an umbrella, and people get away with things, and it's a disgrace. But we're very proud of Lafayette Park. Now we have a big decision to make. Do we take the pavers that are red, you know, the red brick pavers, and do we change them into a granite? It's a gray granite, they're beautiful, but they're not the original. So we're gonna have to make that decision. You have a good sense of taste. What would you do? Huh?
Yes, change it.
You would change the red brick into the granite.
Heartbeat.
The granite is much stronger, holds up much better, different color.
Legacy.
Change it, okay.
Are you considering firing Pirro, Mr. President?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's the MLB trade deadline, and there's been talk lately about a potential lockout next year. I think over salary cap concerns, the salary cap. Do you support a salary cap in the MLB, and what are your thoughts?
Well, we're going to talk about that at a different time. You know, it's a complex situation, but not too complex for me. Yeah, please, in the back.
What did you think of the Nationals trading Luis Garcia to the Yankees? And do you think
The which one?
Luis Garcia from the Washington Nationals to the your New York Yankees. And
Yeah.
what do you think of the job Brian Cashman's doing?
Well, I've known Brian Cashman for a long time. Look, he's done a good job. I think Randy Levine is great. He's a great executive. And by the way, the NIL or whatever it is very close to getting solved, college sports. And Randy Levine and Nick Saban and a whole group of people have done an unbelievable job. That was a case that should have been appealed by the NCAA, and they never appealed it. Whoever ran the NCAA, they never appealed it. The original case was thrown out by a judge that knew nothing about sports or college sports. And that case should have been appealed. They didn't appeal it. They didn't know. I think they forgot something happened. And college sports was and is in turmoil right now. Turmoil. And Randy Levine from the Yankees, is the president of the Yankees, got together with a lot of people. We had it right here, 60 people that were in that world, including legal people. And from football, it was Nick Saban, who won 6 or 7 championships, fantastic coach and very respected, and many other people, very, very respected. And we have a bipartisan deal as of right now, so we'll see what happens. They'll be voting on it soon. I hope they get it. I hope they get it done. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Did you ever think you'd be listening to Donald Trump talk about and working directly with Nick Saban? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Nick Saban, the lifelong Democrat, by the way. Nick Saban that supported the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, even though I think he didn't really know what he was doing.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably supporting the Democratic Party a little less these days.
Yeah,
I would think.
I'd say so. That is highly likely. All right, so couple things real quick. We talked about the Iran stuff, talked about the oil price. There were so many things there. I mean, he went for an hour. I don't have time to cover all of it. And some of it I was going to talk to you about today, and we're not going to be able to do it. But I do want to say on the Judge Jeanine front, he said Judge Jeanine folded like an umbrella. And, people get squeamish when Donald Trump takes shots at the good guys, like Judge Jeanine, who is one of the good guys. She's on our side. People get squeamish, but the actual real good guys, when they get shots fired at them from Donald Trump, they understand the game. They understand that it's not personal from Trump. It is Trump expressing his frustration on how a particular thing played out. In this case, this has to do with David Hearn, the Olympian that got arrested for vandalizing the reflecting pool. Well, Judge Jeanine goes up against a hostile court in Washington, D.C. to try to get this guy hemmed up on these vandalism charges and feels like that the case can't be made. And so she ends up dropping the charges, giving David Hearn and the Democrats a win because they're like, look, this is proof that it wasn't vandalism. It was poor quality by the crew that put it together. And he's upset that she dropped the case. He thinks she should have doubled down and gone after this guy. And he even posted a long video on True Social showing individuals cutting the sealant at the bottom of the reflecting pool. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 24 hours. I'm sure we'll get a response from Judge Jeanine. But it'll likely be, hey, I'm still working on behalf of this president, and we're going to do the right thing as far as all of this goes. Real quick, let me tell you about Chuck Davis, chuckdavislaw.com, chuckdavislaw.com, my attorney looking out for you. Divorce, custody, wills, probate, contracts, whatever it is. Chuck Davis has got you, man. Reach out if you need representation. This is your guy. I'm giving you my attorney. So make sure you let him know that I sent you when you talk to him. He needs to know that you're my people and you're part of the Hey Now Nation. 205-823-9992. That's 205-823-9992. Online, chuckdavislaw.com. No representation is made that the legal services provided are superior to the legal services provided by other lawyers. Alabama Men's Clinic. AlabamaMen'sClinic.com. That's right. That's what you sound like when you get your testosterone levels straightened out. Testosterone, man, it gives you, it's your energy. It's your get up and go. It's like our friend Rick, who's been on hold for 2 hours and 41 minutes. It gives you the ability to really stick things out and, win the race, if you will. I'm going to post a picture of that, by the way. I'm sorry, Rick, we didn't get to your phone call, but I just want to congratulate you for being on hold for 2 hours and 42 minutes. That was great. He just hung up, too. Love you long time, Rick. Call me tomorrow. We'll get you. Alabama Men's Clinic, 205-598-7000. Get up there and get yourself tested. Make sure you tell them I sent you. 205-598-7000. Online, AlabamaMen'sClinic.com. Until next time, see you,